A local mother says for years her life has been defined by loss and by a constant fear that justice could change at any moment. Barbara "Barbie" Thompson was sexually assaulted and murdered in 1986.
Now, the man convicted of those crimes died in prison last week. Tonight, Barbie's mom tells 5 News reporter Jena Daniels his death is putting her on a path toward peace.
In the summer of 1986, 15-year-old Christopher Seagramstrom lured Barbie Thompson into a wooded area near her home before sexually assaulting her and killing her with a rock. He was sentenced to life in prison.
She would have been 44 years old this year.
Since losing her daughter 4 decades ago, Jena Muddiman says healing hasn't been easy, but she's keeping her daughter's memory alive in the little moments, holding on to photos, telling stories, and leaning on her other children who grew up without getting to know their sister. But even in those moments, there was still fear.
And then my other biggest fear was to die and, not knowing if he would get out or, I just didn't want that part to happen.
When Seagramstrom came up for resentencing in 2022, Muddiman wrote letters pleading for him to stay in custody. Ultimately, he did until his death last week.
I totally freaked out. It was like something, you don't expect to hear something like that.
She says while this journey has not been easy, she's found comfort in memories and visiting Barbie's gravesite. But she still wonders what life would be like if Barbie were still here.
Where she'd be at right now, if she'd been married, gone to school, kids, you just think about all that stuff all the time, especially, with my older kids, they got kids, she's got a grandbaby, and, and it's just, where would she have been at?
Now with Seagramstrom's death, Muddiman says he's no longer a part of her family's story.
He had his, and now it's hers. It's all about my daughter Barbara now, from this day on.
In Farmington, covering news where you live, Jena Daniels, 5 News.
Muddiman says for the first time her grief can exist without that fear, and she's now able to focus only on those moments she cherished with her daughter.